right, so once again, I'm live coming in early today. Got a lot of stuff going on. Been a crazy last couple weeks. Found out one of my guys, been sick or whatever. Well, I didn't know it, but then I found out. So it's what it is, right? But let's see. But he's gonna have to go to dialysis and things like that. So just wanted to point that out. As I was out the other day, they got news on social media about well, not social media, but Virginia passed some bills and things like that. They got a lot of shootings around here lately actually going on, which is even more crazy. That always is concerning. When you hear about all these shootings going on. Quite a few shootings, actually. I'm going to start off with this one first.
To your child's screen time in Virginia, all thanks to a new law just signed by Governor Glenn Youngkin.
What's limits on how much time kids can spend scrolling on social media? How would it work? Well, Maureen Nume live in Falls Church this morning with the details for us. Morning, Mo.
Good morning. So that is the big question. How will it work? If your child spends hours on TikTok, Instagram, any social media site, that is about to change here in Virginia because Governor Youngkin has signed a law saying that if you're 16 or younger, you'll be limited to one app, 1 hour a day, and that's it. 1 hour a day per app. It seems a little crazy, and some people are saying, how will this be enforced? That's really what it is, the devil in the details. But let's give you the details and particulars and then tell you when this goes into effect. Right now, this is called the Consumer Data Protection Act. It requires social media platforms to ask for a user's age and then actually verify that age. Then once a child hits their daily 1 hour limit, the app is supposed to block them. But how exactly is that going to happen, and how will it be worked out? Experts say the technology to do that is already in place, but enforcing it, that will not be easy. The law does let parents step in and adjust the hour limit by either giving more or less time. People we spoke to this morning have had mixed reactions to this.
Maybe we should try it out, see how it works, see if it, I don't know, maybe if the test scores increase or if things change, and if it doesn't work, then go back to the old way.
There are many harmful things in the social media, so we have to protect their brain,
Now, the state's attorney would be in charge of enforcing this. But again, how will it all work? That remains to be seen. This new law is expected to go into effect on January 1st. That's the very latest from now. Of course, we'll keep watching this, bring you updates as we get reaction. Back to you.
All right, Maureen, thanks so much. Fox 5 Live Instant Poll. We're asking, do you think limiting social media to 1 hour a day per app for kids under 16 will protect them? 3 out of 4 of you are saying no. You can vote by scanning the QR code on your screen. You can also weigh in at fox5dc.com.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can. First up, let's talk about AI color themes. You can get any combos you want, bold and bright, minimalist and sleek, or something you didn't even think of. Just describe the vibe you want, or even use the colors of your logo, and let AI.
A growing number of college students are reportedly turning to artificial intelligence for help with their coursework. And now researchers are warning about the potential negative effects of relying on the technology. A study from Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon published in February found, quote, higher confidence in generative AI is associated with less critical thinking, while higher self-confidence is associated with more critical thinking. The study is one of many that New York Magazine's Intelligencer features writer James Walsh references in his recent reporting with the headline, Everyone is Cheating Their Way Through College. James joins us now. Thank you for being here. Your article is enlightening, frightening, all of the above. I'm going to give some examples of what students told you how they use it. Taking notes during class, devising study guides, practicing tests, summarizing novels and textbooks. So who needs Spark Notes anymore? Drafting their essays, STEM students using it to sail through dense coding. Where do the students you spoke with draw the line when it comes to getting some harmless help versus plagiarism and cheating?
Right. I guess the biggest problem they have sometimes is understanding where their work begins and ends and where AI's work begins and ends. Schools have sort of left it up to teachers to decide what's okay to use AI, when it's not okay to use AI, and how to use AI. And unfortunately, a lot of students sort of see those as guidelines, not really hard rules in terms of the honor code. So it's very easy for students to see all of their classmates using AI and think this is okay. This is a tool that I'm going to have access to the rest of my life. I might as well take advantage of it now. There's really no kind of short-term consequences, but of course, over time, the long-term consequences are you're not necessarily learning or engaging with the material. You're not reading the texts.
I want to circle back to that in a second. I mean, it sort of is like the adage, if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, you're going to be left behind if everybody else is using AI and you're not. But what are teachers doing? I mean, how are they able to detect? Are they able to detect?
Teachers I spoke to sort of felt underwater. There are some methods to detect AI. There are some AI platforms out there that can detect with varying degrees of reliability whether or not a block of text has been produced or how much of it has been produced using AI. But essentially, those tools are not perfect. They're far from perfect. And what this does is kind of creates a situation where you have professors who, in addition to teaching the material, need to become Perry Mason because they have to, build these cases against students. And it's very difficult. The teachers don't necessarily have a lot of faith in this detection software. And students know that as well. So say a professor sits a student down and says, this says is 80% detected AI. We know you used AI. A student can just deny, because there's no really good way to prove it.
Teachers already have so much to deal with. What are the larger impacts on society, on our young minds?
Sure. Well, there's the study. We don't know. It's early yet. ChatGPT went live in November 2022, so it's about 2 years, a little over 2 years. The study you just cited, the detriment it could have overall on critical thinking. It's natural, right? If we offload all of this thinking, all of this work onto robots, does it look like WALL-E? I certainly hope not. But I think our dependence on AI has deep implications that we really need to think out, and we should be doing that on college campuses where we're shaping these minds.
Absolutely. James Walsh, thank you so much for your reporting and for coming on.
Of course.
That's very interesting when you think about it, but hey man, it was hard for me to cheat on somebody's paper back in the day. Now it sounds like it's easy, right? So kind of interesting when you really look at it.
Well,
So it's what is it, commencement weekend. Speaking of commencement weekend, this VCU this weekend had commencement.
It's a day some dream of all their lives as they hit the pinnacle of their education, receiving a college degree.
Feeling good. I'm excited. All the hard work I put in has finally come.
VCU honored nearly 5,000 graduates at Saturday's commencement ceremony at the Convention Center. The pomp and circumstance captures a celebration of accomplishments, but also signifies the transition from schooling to the workforce.
I'm feeling a little nervous. Like everything is so like a big question mark right now.
According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, college graduates are facing higher rates of unemployment compared to last year. They described it as a noticeable deterioration, as 5.8% of recent grads are unemployed compared to 4.6% this time last year.
I'm currently in the job search process. I'm going to keep looking. That's all you can really do.
The findings do not describe what caused the increase in unemployment. However, graduates are entering a world where industries are rapidly integrating AI. Federal jobs and funding are being cut, and businesses are adapting to economic uncertainty from tariffs.
Securing a full-time job in research, because that's kind of hard right now.
Especially for my field in political science, homeland security, and with the federal government right now, it's kind of a question mark whether I'll get a job or not.
But smiles are all that could be seen Saturday as grads soaked in this moment.
So excited, like everyone's like all here and like we're all celebrating together.
A moment before they have to adapt to these workforce realities in the weeks and months to come.
You know, just trusting myself and like knowing my worth in it all. I think I have a good chance of getting it.
So that was that. That's was the commencement. And Mo was the speaker of the commencement. Grew up in Southside Richmond together. So proud of him for coming back home and doing a speech.
Anything is possible, genuinely. And I want you to turn your dreams into reality. I'm living proof that anything is possible.
This morning, we're here to celebrate all of you in one of the most transformative and most important achievements of your lives.
It was really hard, I won't lie, but I'm really proud of myself for getting through, and I had great support. So
just being here today at the main commencement, it just solidified everything, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
We just feel so much pride in everything she's accomplished and know she's going to change the world.
Live out your wildest dreams. Remember to enjoy the ride, and don't forget to keep loving. Thank you.
Ecstatic, enthusiastic, awesome.
I'm proud of the relationships I've built, honestly. Like all the people I've gotten to meet and friends I've made.
All that hard work and everything, just finally coming together to show that I did it, you know, and I can do hard things. And yeah.
I would say this is the place to grow yourself, find your voice, and build that community of people that will help you take this thing on called life.
It was very diverse. It was felt like it was home, but it felt very warm and kind.
Congratulations to VCU's class of 2025.
Emmy winning The Traitor.
So that was pretty much about the commencement and all that. Very interesting. I'm actually pressed that. A shout out to Everett doing it. I'm glad he was a committed speaker, but you had Warnock out there, senator from Georgia, so that's kind of very interesting. So that's what's out there with talking to my friends the other day, and he's got I have to go do dialysis, obviously, right? So looking at him, I'm like, man, I need to find out what's going on with all the dialysis, right? So, yep. So they were talking about AI revolution and dialysis care, right?
Well, we know when we hear the term AI, it feels like it's kind of everywhere right now. But perhaps the biggest impact AI might be having in the medical field is something you're about to see. Bo Evans with a firsthand look at how one clinic is using that technology to treat dialysis patients. The story's all new for you right here at 5 o'clock.
Anything that can help, it's worth using.
Farida Lalani has been running dialysis machines for more than 20 years. AI is now changing the landscape of patient care.
The AI is able to look into the patient's, clinical data, not just the present, but the past.
DeLorean AI analyzes data from back in time and helps doctors create a treatment plan for the future. The approach is innovative for innovative renal care.
The AI predicts that this patient might be at a higher risk of hospitalization or missing treatment or whatever. So that helps me kind of focus on those areas.
This new technology could help patients like Pesh Patel.
I didn't think I was going to make it out of the ICU. I thought that was it.
In 2017, while he was on a business trip to Australia, Pesh didn't realize he was having kidney failure.
Within 2 hours of entering the ER, had 2 blood transfusions and was moved up to ICU.
Pesh had only one developed kidney, and that kidney was only operating at 2%. He needed to be on dialysis while he waited for kidney transplant, which he received in 2018.
And then fast forward 2.5 years, unfortunately, that kidney rejected. So here I am, again, back on dialysis and on the transplant waiting list.
While Pesh's dialysis treatment center doesn't use DeLorean AI's technology, he's advocating for them to be in every dialysis clinic in the country.
When DeLorean AI is implemented, it's going to really help facilitate better patient care, and it's going to help, I think, create more efficiencies within the dialysis units.
And he hopes that leads to better outcomes and longer lives for
Hey, wait a minute now. That's kind of interesting when you really think about it. When you really think about it in the context, that's kind of interesting. It's very interesting when you think about it, huh? But by being so interesting, I laugh at it. I'm like, yo. So, looking at the thing from the 2030 goal is, can we achieve bio-artificial kidney? Right. Okay. Bio-artificial kidney. I said, who the fuck is going for this shit? Right? And if you're falling for that, bio-artificial kidney, wow, that's very interesting.
We hope we can get to the market by 2030. I have to say, this is not a project that relies on scientific discovery. It's fundamentally an engineering project. It does take time, the iterations required. Our fundamental challenge is getting the resources to complete the work. We're not waiting for scientific discovery breakthrough. So I feel if we had the resources, we can achieve the 2030 deadline and suddenly show the working in a patient and ultimately get it to the market. What could impede us? Well, there's always a chance for unanticipated scientific challenges, but we feel very confident we can overcome those because we're working on the foundations of others that have demonstrated the fundamental science. What we need to do is to actually put everything together, and that's an engineering challenge, and that's going to require money. So one challenge is if we don't get the funding, the timeline could get delayed.
In a world where you've constantly been told what you can't do,
Who will you choose to be?
when presented with something different. Be inspiring. Paint your own story of what life could be and what you want out of it.
Be authentic. Embrace who you truly are and hope to be as someone who is unapologetically you.
So I just find that very interesting about this artificial kidney and all that. Especially when people on dialysis and shit, but it's all good.
Well, we know when we hear the term.
You saw this.
Now, a major medical breakthrough.
So, you just sitting there, you just like, what the hell is going on, right? So, he said, damn, what the hell could they be doing with all this pig kidney shit, right? So, I just said, let me just take a study like this, right? And I looked at it and I said, what? Do a deep dive on it, BJ, right? And come to find out, once again, here we go. A woman got a gene-edited pig kidney.
An Alabama woman is providing new hope for people who desperately need an organ transplant because her new kidney came from a pig. Morgan Norwood has that story for us. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning to you, Robin. This is just a fascinating story. Tawana Looney went into organ failure just years after donating her kidney to her mother. She would then spend years tethered to the dialysis chair, and now this groundbreaking operation has changed everything for her. We sat down with Tawana exclusively as she shares her hope for others.
I could feel the blood flow through my veins. That's how strong the kidney was pumping.
Tawana Looney is only the 5th person in the world to receive a genetically modified organ from a pig. She's part of a growing group of trailblazers undergoing groundbreaking procedures, which doctors say could help change the world.
It is, I think, a very important component of a multifaceted approach to trying to relieve the organ shortage.
Recipients right now are approved on a case-by-case basis.
If you were to put an unmodified farm pig organ, whether it's a kidney or a heart, into us, we would reject it in a matter of minutes. So we're actually adding a gene that inhibits the immune system right to the organ.
The first 4 recipients all passed away within 3 months of their transplants, but Looney is so far the healthiest person to receive a pig organ. She spent more than 7 years on dialysis and 5 years waiting for a human kidney. But her blood was so full of antibodies, she said her body would have rejected hundreds of potential matches.
In 2017, I heard on the news of this research. Oh, it just gave me so much hope. It just did. I said, I want to do this. I want to try it.
This isn't the first time Tawana has been involved in a kidney transplant. Back in 1999, she donated one of her kidneys to her mother. Now she hopes her latest procedure will help future generations.
It's just like getting a second chance in life.
And doctors say Looney is still being monitored, but is doing incredibly well. The next big step is for the FDA to approve human clinical trials. And if that goes well, these procedures could expand on a wider scale. But she looked great. She was doing great. I mean, I honestly felt like she could do laps during that interview. Wow. I mean, she had so much energy.
Because you've been covering this story for some time.
Yeah, we went to the research farm. We also saw the research lab exclusively as well. And it was really incredible to see. Scientists are really on the verge of a breakthrough here.
Very encouraging. All right. Thank you, Morgan.
I don't really like committing to things. I'm scared.
But when Verizon
This happened in Virginia.
A Fairfax County McDonald's is restricting the age of customers who can dine inside. Good evening, I'm Scott Thuman. We first showed you this sign last night at 11 o'clock. It states, if you're over 21, you must ring a doorbell to be let in. This is at the McDonald's in Franconia near Thomas Edison High School. And new at 6 o'clock tonight, we spotted a team being denied entry. 7 News' Jay Korf is live there now. And Jay, the change comes after recent fights involving teenagers.
Yeah, you know, management here is just sick and tired of Thomas Edison High School students coming over here, really taking over the inside of the dining room, getting into fights, trashing the bathroom, throwing their garbage all over the place. You know, so now the doors are locked, but the restaurant is still open.
It only happens with the kids. The normal community comes here, every interacts are great.
The McDonald's on Franconia Road in Fairfax County kicked off new safety measures, angering teenagers and thrilling adults.
I think it's a great thing. This is the first time in probably 5 years I sat down for 15 minutes in this McDonald's and enjoyed a hamburger.
To get into this McDonald's, customers are greeted at all entrances, which are locked, with a sign saying they have to be over 21 to dine inside. A doorbell alerts a staff member who lets you in. As you can see, they're happy to greet some customers, while others get denied. According to a spokesperson for this franchise, student violence and disrespectful behavior erupts here at least once a week, and staff and customers are sick of it. Thomas Edison High School is just across the street.
And I come here every morning. You know, I get my sausage biscuit and my hash brown.
Robert Hankaski says for nearly 50 years, he's been frequenting this McDonald's.
This has been slowly manifesting probably over 10 years.
He says high school students routinely trash the bathrooms, start fights in the dining area, and generally provide an unpleasant experience for everyone.
The fighting is the problem. You know what I'm saying? You'll get one, it'll call, and they're pretty brazen. You know what I mean? And the management try to step in, and you know, these kids are pretty violent. You know, they're not really kids. Let's be honest. They're young adults.
In a prepared statement, this McDonald's local owner said in part, "We've enhanced our Franconia Road McDonald's security measures to promote a safe environment for our staff and customers. This policy was developed in partnership with local school officials and oversight from local law enforcement."
But they're just trying to stop the violence. You know what I mean? It's just stop the, you know, because it's not fair to, you know, any other customer comes in here just for a sandwich or a hardworking person, and they got to put up a bunch of idiots.
Now, we should note that parents with children, of course, are welcome into the dining room. And if you're under 21, you can certainly go through the drive-through. You can do the mobile app and get your food curbside. So that's a situation there. Now, we should note, I reached out personally to both the police department to find out about the number of calls here. We know it's been a lot. They never got back in touch with us. The school system did get back in touch with us because we wanted to know what was going on. And they said that they alerted the entire student body to this situation, and they expect these students to act accordingly.
So you think you know Wix. Do you really?
Well, we know when we hear the term AI.
Another thing that happened in
A bright light extinguished on Mother's Day.
His heart showed before a smile, and the smile was, you know, a big smile.
Richmond police say 18-year-old Sherrod Rondo Bosher was shot in the 600 block of South 2nd Street. That's near the Virginia War Memorial, around 2:15 Sunday morning. He arrived at a local hospital in a private vehicle with a gunshot wound. He died shortly after arriving at the hospital.
I love the kid to death. I'm going to miss him.
Bosher, just weeks from graduating from John Marshall High School in Richmond, played football for the Justices.
Nice catch! Any sport that he plays, like I said, just has that very competitive side to him. And just sure gonna miss that kid, man.
He also played baseball at John Marshall his sophomore and junior years. We talked to his old baseball coach, Brent Butler, who told us Sherrod was super talented, a people person who loved making people laugh, and very lovable.
He's just always in a fun mood, always trying to lift people's spirit up. always smiling, big smile. If you know Sherrod, you know he just has this big smile that can just change your whole day.
He shared a story about other kids making fun of a child with autism shoes. That upset Sherrod, so he went out and bought the boy a new pair of Air Jordans.
The smile that the kid had on his face, it's something that I'll never forget. That's the type of heart that he had.
Coach Butler said Bosher wanted to become a welder and planned to either do an apprentice program at the Norfolk shipyard or join the Navy to do welding.
And that was one of the things that he was interested in and became really, really good at.
The superintendent for Richmond Public Schools, Jason Camrus, called Sherrod's death heartbreaking, especially with graduation right around the corner. He is asking folks to stay extra vigilant with the young people in your life. Keep them close. Every minute with them is so incredibly precious, and they deserve to have thousands upon thousands more in the years ahead.
To me, that's one of the hardest parts about it, was you're about to accomplish all the things that you worked for, and to not be able to have that moment with your family and your friends, your community. That's been the hardest part to kind of swallow.
If you have any information that can help, please reach out to Crime Stoppers at 804-780-1000. Also, the P3 Tips Crime Stoppers app is also a great way to send tips.
What's going on in Petersburg?
It's just devastating that someone would come in and just trash it and take from us.
Footprints can still be seen on the front door that thieves kicked in to get inside God's Love Ministry on Wythe Street in Petersburg.
We didn't think that, this would happen to us.
On Friday, May 9th, Pastor David Pride walked into his sanctuary and discovered
everything is trashed. They just pulled all the drawers out, everything all scattered all over everywhere.
As he looks around, he sees the amp to the keyboard is missing.
And then I look up here, the television is gone.
For the past 2 years, David and Michelle have co-pastored this small church.
We're Ministry of Love. We try to be here for the community.
They say it took hours cleaning up the damage.
All the files was out. All of this stuff was off the walls. This was open. Everything was on the floor.
The pastors say the thieves also ransacked the kitchen and stole the special communion tablecloth. But some of the damage, they say, they take personally.
Took his robe and they just stopped. We found a robe up there, and it was just footprints all over the robe, his white robe.
I felt like it was a personal statement of disrespect for the house of God and for the pastor, the head pastor.
CBS 6 has learned 4 churches have been broken into in the last few weeks, including historic Blandford Church, where another footprint was found on the door the thieves had kicked in. While damage was minimal, there is concern since it is the only church in the country with all Tiffany stained glass windows. On South Adams Street, Agape Christian Center Church has been broken into twice in the month of April. The first time was this church storage shed where a lawnmower was stolen. The second break-in was to the church itself, where multiple windows were damaged, donated clothing, and the area also trashed. For these pastors,
I believe that the enemy is busy at work. And the churches, we need to come together and be praying and keep him at bay.
And they say prayers going out to those doing the break-ins.
Lord, help them, because they really have a problem.
They do.
They have a problem if, they don't even have honor for God.
Petersburg police ask if you have any information about the church break-in.
Man, they talking about cervical cancer test here now. This is getting kind of
This
crazy.
is the premium Garmin Duffel 45 liter by Half Day. It's a transforming 2-in-1 travel duffel bag for long weekends, weddings, and business trips. The hanging compartment comfortably fits up to size 40 regular jacket or suit, shirts, and dresses to keep them wrinkle-free. This bag has also been updated with ballistic nylon.
By the way, say the word stirrups to any woman and she's probably not thinking about horses. She's thinking about going to the gynecologist, right, Tony?
That's what I understand.
That's what you understand, and that's right, because once a woman turns 25, they're supposed to get a pap smear every 2 to 3 years, which screens for things like cervical cancer. But about 1 out of every 4 women in the U.S. are not up to date on their cervical cancer screenings because of things like struggles getting an appointment and, in some cases, hesitation about the invasive process. So altogether, that's about 21 million eligible women not getting screened. But getting that screening regularly combined with having the HPV vaccine significantly reduces your chances of getting cervical cancer, which the American Cancer Society estimates will kill more than 4,300 women in the U.S. this year. Now, several healthcare companies are looking to make the screening process less daunting by letting women gather their own samples. That includes Teal Health, which just received FDA approval for the first cervical cancer test that you can conduct at home. For more on this, we are joined by Teal Health CEO, founder Kara Egan, and once again, CBS News medical contributor, Dr. Celine Gounder. Thank you both for being here. Kara, we'll start with you. Tell us about how this device works.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. As you mentioned, and as all your audience knows, getting a cervical cancer screening, what we call a pap smear, is not easy. It's not easy to find an appointment, and it's not a comfortable experience. Nobody likes the speculum or the stirrups, right? So we've made it so a woman can take her own sample from home in a way that's comfortable, private, and just as accurate as the doctor.
And Dr. Gounder, just to back up, why is this so important to get a screening early and often?
This is a preventable form of cancer. This is something we can prevent both with vaccination and then later also with screening. So I do think it's important to note that the HPV vaccine is not adequately used. Less than 60% of women between the ages of 19 and 26 have gotten even 1 dose of HPV vaccine. So that's a huge missed opportunity because that can prevent almost all cases of cervical cancer. But on top of that, another layer of protection is to be getting HPV testing, to be getting pap smears. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force recommends that women get pap smears actually in the beginning years between 21 and 29, because with HPV testing in that age group, you get a lot of false positives. But for older women, once you hit 30, you have the choice, according to the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, of either the HPV test or pap smear or both.
So, Kara, how does this work? Does it basically work like a tampon?
Yeah, I mean, I have it right here. So how it works is we take the exact same test, as Dr. Gunther said here, as you're using the office. So the primary HPV, which is an on-guideline screening, and we allow women to collect it at home using this device. And it's very comfortable. It looks very similar to a tampon. You insert it as far as makes sense for your body. It's designed for all women. And then you collect with this soft sponge. And so it's very, very easy. 94% of women preferred it to the standard of care in our clinical trial. And so it's just a great option for them.
And then the screening happens at your lab. They send it somewhere?
Yes, exactly. So you collect it home privately, and then you ship it to the lab. And then the lab runs it on the exact same test that's used in the doctor. The whole time, even though you're collecting privately at home, you're connected with the doctor. So you come to the Teal website, you speak with the doctor, she prescribes the kit and orders the assay. You collect privately at home, send it to the lab. Again, the exact same a test that's being done in the office. They run it, the results come back, they're reviewed by a doctor and shared with the patient.
And so this is via telehealth, so like a video conferencing or something like that?
Yep. So,
are there concerns though? Like I would be concerned that maybe I'm not doing it right or that I'm missing out on other things if I don't.
You like that, Enzo? I see you barking, boy. I got you 3 in a row. Now we're game! Yes, sir! I see you!
we first started the company about
Man, this company is called Teal. Just thought I'd, looking at everything out there. I said, what in the world? I said, dang, it really is. I said, you ain't got a good doctor no more. Just get it at home. Just get it home. Don't you even worry about it no more. It's probably better that way anyway, right? Shoot. Did we tell you whether you got cancer and then you come on to the doctor? Smart plane, if you ask me. But it is what it is. Am I right? So I mean, that's just where it goes. So they got that now. So it's cervical cancer.
A little over 5 years ago, and we redesigned the product to be really easy for a woman to use, and really easy in terms of comfort, but really easy in terms of confidence that she can collect a sample. Then we ran a clinical trial, a 16-site nationwide clinical trial, and this is where I think women really came to play. We found that anecdotally, 80% of women asked to be in our trial said yes, because they wanted this to exist in the market. And so our clinical trial took only about 6 months. And then through that, we also had such exceptional data that we were able to get the FDA breakthrough device designation. So that's when the FDA says, this is so important to public health that we want it sooner.
How did the pandemic help people understand what it is you were trying to do?
The pandemic showed everyone that telehealth is a thing that is preferred and welcomed, and made it easier to get care for most Americans in general, but also obviously during the pandemic. And also we saw that at-home testing was a thing that people could handle and really understand. And so then from an investor standpoint, we're talking about a cancer screening that is for all women, ages 25 to 65. That's 92 million women. When it comes to investors, they understand how big a market is. For both doctors and women, a really important part is, does it work, right? In our clinical trial, we found that we had the exact same accuracy as the doctor, which is 96%. And so women and doctors can now trust this. And this is an important thing because it's a cancer screening. And so we're finding that women already wanted it. 94% of women in our trial preferred it to the standard of care. And then doctors, every doctor wants to make sure a woman has more options to getting screened.
Will doctors be a little concerned about this because, they need the patients to come into the office, and yes, you get your screening, but there are other things that happen on those visits.
We find that doctors actually are really appreciative because this gives them more time to speak with their patients on those years that you had a cervical cancer screening scheduled. So it takes about 10 minutes of an already 10 to 20 minute visit to do the cervical cancer screening. So if a woman can get that done before, it leaves more time for the doctor to have that connection and really make sure a woman's healthy.
Will you close the loop and report it to a woman's doctor?
A cervical cancer screening is only as effective as the triage, right? So it's really important that you understand your results and take the next steps. So what happens with Teal is you would come to Teal, you'd meet with a provider.
Via telehealth?
Via telehealth, yes. Explain how it works, and then write the prescription for the kit and order the test to the lab. It's the exact same primary HPV test that is being done in the office that we order. Then the kit gets sent to the woman at home. She collects privately, takes about 5 minutes on average, and sends the sample back to the lab. The lab processes it again on the exact same test that is done at the doctor's office. If a woman is abnormal and needs to have a follow-up, we have another telehealth visit with her to explain her results and refer her into her in-person triage. Today, 75% of women are not taking the follow-up steps. And so we think that extra visit and that extra time with the patient can actually really improve that.
Show me how it works.
What's coming home is this really easy, beautifully designed wand. It's comfortable. It's very similar to a tampon. And then what happens is you would insert it and then you would rotate the sponge. You rotate it 10 times. It's a very soft sponge. And then retract it and pull it out. And then you actually pop off the sponge and mail this to the lab. Another really important thing is that this is able to go into the USPS. So you don't have to go to a FedEx. So this is great no matter where you live. And so you do want to send the sample back in within 24 hours, but then it can go in the regular mail and get to the lab and be processed.
What's your hope for having this service out there?
Cervical cancer is an entirely preventable disease, but 1 in 4 women are behind on their screening. And screening is how we eradicate cervical cancer. So for me, it's about...
That mean they really going to be pushing this. That's what that means. They're really pushing cervical cancer and stuff like that.
So this is our beautiful new flagship in West Hollywood.
It's stepping into the future.
This is the orb. It looks very cool, but it's basically just a fancy camera that's able to look at you and tell whether you're a real human or not.
You heard that right. In a world of deepfakes and online bots snagging the best deals, this shiny chromed white ball or camera could help prove that you're a human. That's the concept behind World, an open infrastructure co-founded by Sam Altman of OpenAI and architect of ChatGPT.
We wanted a way to make sure that humans stay special and central in a world where the internet was going to have lots of AI-driven content.
Tiago Sada is the chief product officer at Tools for Humanity.
It's called World App.
The primary contributor to World.
You can simply say here, you want to verify your World ID. So tap on that.
It looks like something out of an episode of Netflix's Black Mirror. And I had my doubts, but I tried it. You first have to download an app.
It'll take a picture of your face and your eyes.
Show the QR code.
So you just look at the golden dot.
Then the photo and eye scan.
All right, so it's all set. So now here on your phone, it's telling you the orb is right now verifying your humanity.
The data is then sent to your phone. The idea is that it can be used on dating apps, video games, or when buying concert tickets, proving that it is in fact a person, not a machine.
AI is amazing, right? We now get to do many things that we couldn't do before. But one of the problems is that when everything can be faked, we don't know who and what to trust.
More than 12 million people have already done this.
And I'm one of these people that just get so frustrated with passwords all the time. I have like a zillion passwords. If I could do it just once, my face, I'm done.
And in exchange,
you could
claim my money.
Yes, exactly.
Those of us who do it get paid in a cryptocurrency called WorldCoin.
So it's worth $35.17.
And it goes up and down depending on how people do it.
In the future, Tools for Humanity hopes to charge a small fee to the website or companies that use it to verify their customers. But right now, it's not making any money. Another possible roadblock, privacy concerns.
And so what's really going to be key is how is that data held? How is it stored? How is it transferred? Is it deleted immediately?
World says that anyone who does this, including me, can delete the information at any point.
Okay, what is the privacy aspect of it? I know they mentioned that they deleted off their platform, but it's always going to be like something to wonder about.
And governments in some countries where it's rolled out have already banned or imposed fines on the tech, saying it runs afoul of local data privacy and currency regulations. On Monday, a court in Kenya giving World 7 days to delete the biometric data gathered from its citizens. Tools for Humanity says it's engaging with regulators worldwide and is working through the challenges and will keep building. Adding, pioneering technologies always face regulatory scrutiny. It's part of meaningful innovation.
At the end of the day, you only have 2 eyes and 1 face, so we have to make sure we protect that.
But the startup claims we might just need it, because the future isn't just knocking, it's staring us down.
And Camila Bernal joins us now from Los Angeles. Camila, I saw the different countries in your piece where this has been rolled out. Other than LA, where you tried it out, where else in the United States can people try this?
Yeah, so SF opened last week. You saw LA, and then Miami opens up actually tomorrow. Then they're going to have stores in Atlanta and Nashville and Austin. But the idea is to have these cameras be sort of ATM machines. You can go up to them in stores or anywhere where they are and just show up and identify yourself as a human, Allison.
So once people have scanned and given this new form of ID, what can they do with it on World's app?
Yeah, so if you want to play a video game and you want to know that you're playing against a human, you can verify yourself through the app. If, for example, at some point Taylor Swift wants to make sure that it's all her fans and not bots that are trying to buy her concert tickets, then they could use the technology, or say you're flirting with someone on a dating app. Well, you want to make sure you're actually flirting with a human and not a robot. So all of these will be used in the future. At least that's what this company hopes to do, so that you can really distinguish yourself from the very intelligent internet.
A fascinating look into the not so distant future. Camila Bernal in Los Angeles, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
Welcome back. Crime rings are using stolen identities to steal billions in taxpayer money from federal and state governments. A new 60 Minutes report reveals how your social security number might be for sale right now.
Is it true that the social security number of just about every single American is available for sale on the dark web?
That is a true statement. All of our personally identifiable information, name, date of birth, former addresses, social security number is available on the dark net and can likely be purchased.
That's chilling.
Yeah, it's very much a way of our lives though right now.
And purchased, I hear, for as little as $2 a piece.
Yep, very affordable.
What is this about? For more on this, I'm joined by Justin Capos here in Studio 57. He's a professor in the Computer Science and Engineering Department at New York University. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Earl.
On this frightening topic.
Yes.
Help us understand how cyber criminals are doing this and what exactly the dark web is.
So what's happened is that over time, there's been a lot of data breaches. You give your information out all kinds of places. You go to the dentist's office, you sign up for a credit card, you even just sign up for those loyalty cards in the supermarket. All that information gets stolen from those companies. They get broken into. That information ends up in the hands of criminals. They want to resell that information, and they sell it on something called the dark web. The dark web is just a place where if you want to set up a website, you want a thing that's private and not have people be able to take it down, like law enforcement or others. It's a way for you to set those sites up and do things like that.
So for our viewers watching these stories, being concerned, what can they do to either protect themselves if the info is already out there or to prevent it from getting out?
So preventing it from getting out is as simple as you'd think. Don't give that information out. If you go to fill out something and you're getting, a couple dollars off a yogurt that you're going to buy, don't give them your social security number. You don't need to give them perhaps even your real name. Like, why provide that information to them? You can also do things like put a freeze on your credit. And that actually makes it harder for cyber criminals to go and use stolen information about you to do things like open a line of credit or apply for benefits like unemployment benefits or things like this. But really the place where things need to happen is really at the governmental level. This is the place where we as a country have ways to try to address this.
And even just giving out something as simple as your birth date because you want like a coupon every birth. Don't do that because your name and birth date could be used to cross-reference this info. Yeah. Why then are governments a perfect target?
Well, that's where the money is, right? The government gives out tons of money through all kinds of different programs, from disaster relief to all sorts of other things like this. But fortunately, there are programs that the government has also had in place through the National Science Foundation, for instance, that is training people to work for the government through something called Scholarship for Service. And these professionals are going and getting government jobs and helping the government to really raise the bar to fight these hackers. Because if you're imagining that you have all these people from overseas that are now going in and costing the government hundreds of billions of dollars, it's such a great investment that our government can go and spend $100 million or something like that to get all of these super high-tech professionals like you see in all the, all the great crime shows about this.
Okay, well, you've given some great advice to people to protect themselves, and it's an issue they should certainly be aware of. Justin Capos, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Crime.
Since it is May 13th, this is the anniversary of the moon bomber. So. It's actually been 40 years.
It was 40 years ago that the unthinkable happened here, 6221 Osage Avenue. A bomb was dropped from a helicopter on this building, starting a fire that devastated 61 row homes, killing 11 people.
You know, when I come here, I just get chills. You know, I hear the gunfire, smell the tear gas. You know, 40 years later, it's still there, man. And it's just doesn't go away.
The neighbors of the Back to Nature group Move were fed up. Members were using loudspeakers 24 hours a day, brandishing firearms and making threats. Some members of the group had outstanding criminal warrants, and the city decided they didn't want the situation to become a repeat of the previous standoff with the group that ended with the death of a Philadelphia police officer.
We were put on standby that Friday that, you know, the city was going to try to talk Move members out of 6221 Osage. One family said, yeah, he can come in, get video out the window. Police are all outside. They didn't know I was up on the second floor. And I just started videotaping.
The top floor of the Move compound was covered with a bunker made to remove any tactical advantage from police if they tried to gain entry to the property. Multiple attempts were made to remove the bunker on the fatal day by using fire department high-pressure water cannons. Then the decision was made to remove it by dropping an explosive device.
That was their target, not the home so much, but the bunker on top of the house.
Mark Ciccone, a decorated Vietnam combat pilot, was working as the pilot of a traffic spotting helicopter used by radio and TV stations, and he was called in to help support the effort.
We flew a recon mission, a high-speed, low and a high-speed mission over it, and I told them there's nothing in the bunker at all, just sandbags and a can of gas. I related to the policeman sitting next to me that the bunker posed no threat in my estimation. There was no one there. That wasn't an estimation, that was a fact. We stayed in the air till we were issued the order to go pick up the lieutenant and the bomb. We both landed. The lieutenant and the satchel charge went in the other helicopter. Then I took off just to be a high observer. I didn't see any, in my estimation, any reason to drop a tactical weapon on the roof to eliminate the bunker, which was their original target, since it consisted of nothing.
So this is just information about the Move thing that happened in Philadelphia decades ago. 40 years to be exact. Kind of crazy when you really think about it, but it happens, man. It's just life. It is what it is. But I mean, a lot of topics that could have covered more. Maybe I'll come back on later and make a run. But the kid health is wealth, and always be stay on top of the game. So be cool and chill out on this May the 13th.